All right, have a great day. Several messages coming in already on WhatsApp say both parties shifted grounds. You can see the government went a bit up while Labour came down, hence the agreement. However, the government should address the problems of high cost of living and opening of borders for importation of good or food into the country. Another person here says, okay, I can't take that one. The WhatsApp number is 08090306416. That is the WhatsApp number 08090306416. Now, there's another critical part to this particular conversation. But the news of the wage, many have come up to say the price of commodities could go up even more. Now, that is another conversation we're going to be having, and I'd have my second guest speak to us via phone this morning. He's an economist and a former commissioner in Rivers State, Peter Medee. He would join us immediately after we return from the commercial and perhaps give us the economic implications of this and what expectations we should have with regards to a new minimum wage. Meanwhile, on Facebook, several messages. Inyong says the minimum wage will not help matters considering the price of commodities in the country. I think the federal government would have to do something about it. Martha Emmanuel says it's a starting point. Danny Atta on Facebook says, I don't think government will increase the minimum wage more than 70,000. What a reasonable government should be doing now is price control and fix the refineries in the country. Sounds interesting. Young Bunny Boss says, I love it, and on and on. But the question you two should wrap your head around is whether this minimum wage would help manage the price of goods and food items in the market. After the break, we'll find out.
Nigeria Info. We'll be right back.
introduction, Peter Medee. Yes, the introductions got a bit mixed up. He is now a commissioner for budget and economic planning in Rivers State. So we had that mixed up. Sir, quickly, apologies for that. And congratulations on your appointment.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. Quickly, we would like to get your perspective from an economic standpoint, the implications of the new minimum wage. First off, we've heard the governor of Rivers State say, well, he would, whatever is agreed upon, swiftly implement in Rivers State. But economically, there are those who feel that this increase in the minimum wage would only cause a spike or increase in the price of commodities. What's your view on this?
Well, for those who say so from economic standpoint, may be right, because once there is increase in wages without corresponding increase in outputs, you will definitely see a situation where the aggregate demand of consumers or the workers will be stimulated. And once aggregate demand is stimulated, that means it will lead to an increase in the prices of goods and services, because consumers will receive, producers and those selling the product will receive a signal that consumers' in aggregate demand has now increased. So in such a situation, what you will see a spark in the price of services. That is actually correct in terms of economic phenomenon. But what we are looking at here is that you already know that for a very long time now, the inflation rate in Nigeria has been very bad, and workers have suffered a lot of. And in a situation where you now need to assist workers to be able to help them cover some costs and cover some losses, then this increase is welcomed, because for a very long time now, workers have suffered as a result of hardship in the economy. So I think the minimum wage increase need to be proportional in terms of increase in output. So I think I will call you to say, look, now that this has increased, then we also need to increase our productivity. Because if increase in productivity is matched with this increase in wages, then we may not see that spark as we expected.
All right, and now it brings us to even a look at economically in Rivers State. What would you say the government would be putting on ground to spark up production and increase supply, so that here in the state we find a way to stabilize the economy in the state, and also see how we reduce the level of inflation as it affects the price of food stuff?
Well, you are aware that what we are talking about is a national policy and a national problem. When you bring the state which is subnational into it, it's actually difficult to be able to analyze it, because we are talking of inflation, which is a national aggregate. Although we have seen a situation where the prices of food is subnational and the output of food is subnational, we actually trickle into the national aggregate. But in spite of that, what is important is that for us here in Rivers State, you are aware that the governor has not hidden his commitment to deal with those sectors where we can have productivity. I'm talking about the agri sector. And if you watch, the crime rate in Rivers State has been very, very low. What that means is that producers can go about their business to produce goods and services. Farmers can go to their farm. And so once productivity in terms of agriculture and other sensitive sectors of the economy are enhanced, then we are expecting corresponding output. And once those outputs begin to trickle in, then this increase will not make a lot of difference. But in the event where some states are having challenges in terms of insecurity, they're having challenges in terms of their policies to stimulate production, then that's where you may have some problem. But I think in Rivers State, efforts are being made to stimulate agriculture and all other areas of output. You can see that the ease of doing business in Rivers State is also enhanced. So I think it is better if the commitment of government is that, well, this minimum wage will do our very best to assuage the unprecedented or unimaginable outcome. Then I think that can be done and that can be achieved. And I can assure you that some of these productive sectors in the state are actually being dealt with today by the present government.
All right. We'll take a few messages on Facebook. This person, Maxwell Obina, says, good morning. Labour accepting 70,000 naira as a new minimum wage to me is a welcome development. If only the government would also keep to their promise to review this every 3 years, because we must move forward as a country. Pascal Obina says this government is not helping matters. Instead of them to build refineries, they're busy doing unnecessary things. We need the refineries to work. This person says this minimum wage is going to increase inflation in the country. Government should strategize on how to fix prices of commodities and also place agriculture as a priority to the nation. Goods and services are increasing. The prices of goods and services are on the rise every day. Ogo General Justice, this is Labour has Nigeria workers. Okay. All right, and there's a few questions to take from the phone lines with response to what's happening with regards to the minimum wage and perhaps how it could affect price of commodities even more. 0817-923-0002 and 0817-923-0003. The numbers that you can call to get on with us and ask your question. The Honorable Commissioner, I'm sure, would also be giving us insight in response to questions that might have to do with plans that can be put in place in the government to stabilize the economy at the sub-national level here in Rivers State. 0817-923-0002 and 0817-923-0003. It says, good morning. 70,000 as new minimum wage, an improvement from the 30,000 we had. And since it will be renewed every 3 years, the question is, will state governors pay? Which is a huge question because with the 30,000 naira, we saw many states struggle. We saw many states not even paying arrears of that 30,000 naira. And then the structural adjustment that follows the increase in the minimum wage is also another area where there's been a lot of problems. Do you think that this time the country would be able to manage this properly? Hello. Hello, Commissioner.
Yes, I'm hearing you.
All right. So I'm saying the question from this listener was that will the state governors pay? And I think it's critical that we look at this because at 30,000 naira, it was much of a struggle when we moved from 18,000 and got to 30. And when we got to 30, we saw that even arrears could not be paid. We saw that in some states, the structural adjustment that follows increase in the minimum wage was the problem to implement. And now with the economic situation that's been put in front of us and the stories that we hear about how it's not just an Africa or Nigerian problem, it's a world problem. What's the guarantee that our governors, the various governors of the country, would be able to meet up with the implementation of this and the subsequent adjustment that will follow?
Well, I will not be able to speak for any other states in the country. But if you watch River State, you will be very happy that the governor we have today is a people's-friendly governor and it's a labor-friendly governor. And I'm very, very sure that before this total has been agreed by the federal government, I'm very, very sure that the Nigerian Governors Forum may have made some input. And if my governor is part of that commitment, then we are very, very hopeful that River State will be among the foremost states that will implement this, because our governor has not hidden his passion and his concern for labor and for the workforce in the state. You can even see that last December, he gave 100,000 naira flat to all labor workers in the state. That has never happened before now. And if a governor can do that, before then, nobody could believe that this government in the state will be able to afford that. We are talking of a previous government where even pensioners were not paid. People's increment were not paid. People were not promoted. and you came into a new regime, a new direction, a new vision, where all those backlogs areas have been paid by this present government. Promotion has been done by this present government. I'm talking of promotion that for 8 years workers were working and nobody talked about their promotion. Nobody paid anything, nobody cared. So the present government in Rivers State is very, very labor friendly. And with that kind of attention and with that kind of interest that our governor has in workers, we are very hopeful that whatever federal government agreed, which I also do know that the National Economic Council as well as the Nigeria Governors Forum, they have made input into it. With that commitment, I'm very, very sure that my governor will be among the first that will pay.
All right. Let's go to the phone lines and take a few questions. Please just tell us your name, where you're calling from, and then let's get your response to the new minimum wage situation, its implementation, and whether you think it's going to encourage inflation. Good morning.
Good morning, my brother in the studio. Emeka from Owerri.
All right, Emeka, go on.
See, my brother, I've been saying this all the while. I don't know why, as a concern, 20,000 naira the articulating for, labor. It's for me, it's a waste of time. They are going to buy fuel for 19 naira for that 70,000. They are going to buy bag of rice for 80,000 for that 70,000. All the list, what before this whatever. I didn't make all of them. You see, as far as I'm concerned, I want to do for the to make life easier for the whole of Nigeria people. Now that we have been giving 70,000, I don't know what 70,000 will do to average Nigerian worker. Instead of chasing the men first, they are just chasing each other as far as I'm concerned. And I want to, what I can't put around my head, this particular philosophy or maybe nothing of when you increase the workers, commodities increase in the market. And the businessman, I don't want to subscribe to that. If they increase salary to the 70,000, will that make me to sell my goods beyond what the price is supposed to say when I have the other level that is 30? I don't think it has to do with the market. When they always say that because they increase salary, people go to increase the market. I don't want to increase totally with that kind of relation. I don't know how to do it. So my problem is labor to fight for the government for the regulation of things, making things easier for people. So that they say we benefit. But when they are fighting just for their own personal interest, look at it as a selfish interest. Because now this money now they are going to make the whole essential commodities in the Nigeria market. After that, they should tell Nigeria how much they get. After buying bags of rice for 8,000 naira, against others, back of spent for 15,000 others. Then you should tell Nigerians how much they for them. All
right, Emeka. Thank you. Nigeria Info, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Andrew.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah, the new minimum wage is a welcome development, but we always have problem with implementation in state. I always said this. It's not about the money. It's about fixing the basic things. So if a worker have those basic things, healthcare, education, if they can pay less for these basic things, they will value for the money. So this is where labor at the state level and the federal level should be proactive in ensuring that the government delivers on these basic needs to the people. Now, coming to the state government is a federating unit. I think the state government have a role to play in alleviating the challenges that the people are facing at the state level. Industrialization, mechanized farming, youth empowerment, if they can do these basic things for us as a people, those of us that are not working can actually have a living, can sustain life. So I think that we must be proactive as a government, and also as a youth, we have to be working as well to make sure that we don't have problems in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Nigeria Info.
Hello?
Yes, good morning to you.
Yeah, Andrew, good morning to you.
All right, good morning.
This is Isaiah George.
All right, go on.
From Buguma and Kalabala. Let me greet the Honorable Commissioner. Good morning, sir. Yes, Andrew, we the sympathizers of the organized labor and the Nigerian workers, I think we have come to the end of the whole agitation and struggle, because whatever has a beginning has an ending. If at the end of today, from your first guest that after 11 o'clock, we'll get to hear the conclusion of the matter. And looking at what the leaders have said, Joe Ajaero and his counterpart, and I don't know what your first guest is waiting to tell Nigerians, because I think they actually have told Nigeria that a point of agreement was reached. Because in every misunderstanding, you must get to understanding at the end. And every disagreement, there must be an agreement at the end. So if they have actually agreed on 70,000, and my governor in the state has already put out his promise that before now that any amount, even if it is 1 billion naira, he have accepted. It means that he was a bond and he has stick to his word. And I think, I don't know for other states, but my state I am very sure.
All right.
But what else can we say? If they have agreed, let us see. They say after every 3 years, they should keep to their word. Because 70,000 is like 70 kobo to me.
All right, Isaiah, thank you very much. Quickly, Honorable Commissioner, before we take one more call from Anselm, let's just get these thoughts from you so you can get on with your day. Many have said the 70,000 naira is not fair. When you look at it from where you sit, do you think that the government was fair enough with 70,000, especially now with the rumors we hear of the increase in landing cost of petrol, and possibly that could also even affect the price of petrol and other economic indices that we see in the country? You think 70,000 is fair?
Well, there is no amount that would be fair in any negotiation. You know, this 70,000 came out of collective bargaining processes of government. Government has been able to put the reality before labor. You know, labor was asking for about 600 and something thousand. And for them to come back to accept 70, it means that we have been able to face and see the actual realities that be able to determine what will be paid. The one thing is to agree on an amount, and another thing is the willingness to pay or the ability to pay. There may be the willingness to pay, but the ability will not be there. There may be the ability to pay, but the willingness also will not be there. So what's important is not how much actually, but what is key is the willingness and the ability to pay. And that's why we are saying that Rivers State government will be able to have the willingness, and by God's grace will be able to have the ability also to pay, because you can see there's an increase in the internal generated revenue of the state, because the government today has blocked all the leakages where our revenues were leaking to. And as we continue to block more of those leakages, we are going to be able to step up and increase our revenue. And once revenue is increased, then the ability will be there. And I know that my government has the willingness. But when it comes to whether 70 or 80 or 100 or 300, that is not going to be the problem. Now, what is the problem is the reality in the economy. And what I expect federal government and other state government to do is to roll out other palliatives and other areas where you can be able to alleviate the suffering of the state. You are aware that from when this problem started, the governor of Rivers State rolled out free buses, and those free buses are still on the road today running, carrying people free. Which other government are doing that? Has federal government been able to complement that the state government has put on the road and have as many as possible today? Today we will be saying a different thing. So there are other things that need to be addressed. For example, we're having challenges with foodstuff. You know, most of the foodstuff we consume here come from some part of the country. So how is insecurity allowing those distribution to happen? Also, to the security agencies on the road that keep tasking people who are bringing foodstuff in. So if you are bringing foodstuff from Sokoto, before you arrive Port Harcourt, you end up sorting yourself on the road and paying unnecessary charges and dues on the road. All that is being added to the price list that the consumer is finally paying for this commodity. So I think in addition to the 70, some other structural problems and some other rigidities have to be addressed. All that will be able to alleviate the suffering. Because if you actually look at the reality in the economy today, 70,000 may not be able to solve the problem. But even if 70,000 is not solving the problem, and some other leakages and some other sources from where consumers are spending money are being addressed, then we'll be able to optimize and the economy will be able to stabilize.
All right,
And
Honorable
as the
Commissioner.
economy stabilize, then the consumers are going to gain, because if prices of goods and other things are being addressed, then prices begin to come
Thank
down
you.
tomorrow.
Thank you very much,
Then
Commissioner.
can now
We
give
have to wrap it up
70,000.
here. We're already out of time. Thank you for your time, and have yourself a wonderful day. Hopefully we'll get you in some other time to discuss more.
I will be available anytime. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And apologies to Anselm. Unfortunately, we couldn't take your call. This is where we wrap things up. We'll go for a commercial. Hello, Port
After
Harcourt is
this.
next.
I wish you happy birthday.
Happy birthday.